Welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show, episode 6. It's a special one. We are doing our January top 20 rankings. Woo! And of course, my boy Link, New Wave Hockey. Go check out his YouTube site. How's it going, Link?
It's fantastic, actually. Just today, I got back from Gothenburg, Sweden. I'm doing my tour around Sweden, or I'm just like going to different places every single week. And now I have a little piece of merchandise to show for it. So things are going well. I'm having a great time here in Denmark. It's great.
The jersey collection is going to be pretty big, I think, by the end of this little stay in Sweden, eh?
We'll see if my finances don't run out by that point. But yeah, I'm so excited to get into this and start talking about the top 20. I actually have just released my top 64 over on my channel by the time that you're watching this. So go check that out. I painstakingly went through every single prospect in my top 64, and it was a long process, but I really hope a lot of you guys enjoy it and kind of see some distance between what me and Mark are doing. But maybe you'll see a little bit of the reason why I rank players where.
Well, you know what? Go check out his YouTube site, New Wave Hockey. Go check out his rankings. Subscribe to his channel too, guys. Help him out, man. He's got some good stuff, and So we're going to talk about our top 20 though in this episode, and then like I said, later on down the line we'll do our top 32. Maybe I don't know if I'm going to go as deep as top 64, but hey, top 50 maybe we'll have an episode near the end. But we're going to do mock drafts too at some point later on. But and that special episode. Not going to say anything about that yet, but that's coming up. So yeah, this show right here, we are doing our 2025 NHL draft rankings, top 20 for January. So let's get into it. I'm going to let you go first because you got a little bit of a hot take there, Link. And his number one, number one is Michael Misa. Wowza. Link, talk us through this.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of surprised myself, but I honestly was like, it kind of hit me after the episode that we did last week at the draft, when we were doing the draft board episode last week. We were talking so much about how perfect Michael Misa's game was. And then I'm just like, I'm going to go back and watch a ton of Michael Misa tape and just be like, all right, this guy, he has to be the number one overall pick, right? He's somebody that we've been talking about this much. We've been talking about how highly touted he is, and he really is just that good. And after last week, I kind of just was thinking to myself, I have to move him up. What else am I going to do? He's really he looks like he's going to really just break the cover off of like every single score. Or I guess he's not on for every scoring record, but he is just breaking the cover off of the OHL right now. He is destroying everything in his wake. 2 points per game. This guy's an absolute beast, and he single-handedly is making, also with Zane Parekh, is making that Saginaw team a wagon. But Michael Misa, he's a heck of a player, heck of a prospect, can play anywhere. I like him a hell of a lot, and I enjoy having him at my number one spot now because I feel more comfortable. So
that's fair enough. We all gotta have our own favorites, but mine is Schaefer. Hasn't changed. I've had him at number one since November, and like the thing with Schaefer. And I've said this before, he's just so elite in a lot of aspects of his game. His skating is unreal. He's got some offensive upside. He's showing it this year. Since Linka, he's been pretty much on a tear. 2 injuries, or he had mono and then broken clavicle. So it's derailed his the amount of games that he's playing. But I still think that he has that elite potential in him. He could be like, he's definitely going to be, in my opinion, a top pairing in NHL. So I got him at number one. I do have Misa at number 2. That's new because I had Hagens at number 2 before. So I've moved him up one spot, but I see that you have Hagens at number 2. So talk to me about why you got James Hagens at number 2. I got James Hagens at number 3. Why do you have him ahead of Schaefer is my big question.
So the way that I view the top 3 is that it's so close. It's so clear cut. Like, it's actually insanely razor thin. I was like having a migraine over having Misa over Hagens, just because I feel like it's just like a perfectly little, I thought it was just perfect the way it was, but no. The reason why I have James Hagens above Matthew Schaefer at this point is kind of because James Hagens, I think, is improving in every single game that he's been playing. And Matthew Schaefer, he's kind of showing us what he is. And like, I haven't seen a lot of improvement from what he was at the beginning of the year. He's fantastic. He's been really, really solid, and he's going to be a great top pairing defenseman in the NHL. But I think that he doesn't really wow me like other first overall defensemen have in the past.
Oh, come on, Link. He doesn't wow you. Have you been watching the clips? Go back to the tape.
I've been watching the clips.
Come on.
I will say though, like he is going to be a fantastic defenseman in the NHL. I think he compares almost perfectly to a Miro Heiskanen, except he has better hands, and he's going to be a tremendous defenseman for whoever the heck drafts him, because he's just he's brilliant, very brilliant player. But the sample size is really low for me this year. That's something that's kind of drawing me back. I know a lot of people have him at number 1, but I'm not there yet on Matthew Schaefer, but I know when he comes back, he's probably going to force my hand. James Higgins, he's been hot and cold throughout this year, but I know he's been getting better every single game. His defensive aspects of his game have been rounded to they're so tight. Like, he has become a much better defensive player. We all know what he can do as a playmaker, and I see the 1C potential probably more clearly than anybody else right now in this stage of the.
See, this is so. I'm not sure if he's a 1C. Like, you know what? I look at past drafts and stuff like that. Like, say he goes to Chicago, is he gonna be ahead of Bedard, Celebrini?
Well,
I mean, look,
that's the issue.
And my opinion is that Schaefer, you even said it yourself, that he's probably going to be a top pairing D in NHL. So do you want to draft James Higgins first overall, or second overall ahead of Schaefer if he's going to be a 2C? That's my contention.
Well, yeah, and that's a strong contention, but what I would say for that argument with like context, I don't think Chicago or San Jose is going to take him first overall because they have their number 1 centers. Yeah. And in this 3, I think of this top 3 a lot higher than I think other people. I think all 3 of them are going to be top of the lineup players, like first C, like 1C all-stars. I really think the world of Misa, Higgins, and Schaefer, and I think we're going to come back to comparing these 3 every single year after they get drafted. But I think it's really tough for me to kind of like pick between Schaefer and Higgins. But as for now, still, because he's still playing games and Schaefer has not played since January, I want to put Higgins I wouldn't even say comfortably ahead. It's
razor thin. Okay.
It's razor thin, and that's what it's doing it for me. But both are tremendous players. Both players, I think, will be like perennial all-stars with Michael Misa. I think they're fantastic. So I think very highly of this top 3.
Yeah, I think the in terms of tiers, there's the top 3, and then there's a couple tiers below them. But you're right. I think the top 3 are, and like I said, I got Higgins 3 now, so I moved him down 1. So he's kind of slipping in my rankings a bit. And I know you got Schaefer at 3. So, I mean, for the most part, we both got Porter Martone at 4. And I just watched Porter Martone live last weekend. And again, he's just more questions than answers for his game. I mean, you know what? He shows glimpses of that skill set. And, just off puck play is a little suspect for me. And I mean, so that's why there's that drop in the tier. Before, at the beginning of the season, you could put Porter Martone in that tier. And some people even had him, contending for first overall. And I saw him early on.
Had him number 1.
Yeah, and some people had him number 1. And I had seen him early on in Brampton, and I was like, I don't see it, like, because I've seen Higgins last year when he played for the NDTP. I've seen Schaefer live, and I've seen Misa for 3 years. So I knew exactly what they brought to the table. And then I saw Porter Martone. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I saw Porter Martone last year too. And, because it was a D-1, you kind of, take it with a grain of salt. But this year, there was so much hype with him at the beginning of the season. And I went and watched him. I'm like, I don't see it compared to those 3 guys. And I've had Porter Martone lower since day 1. So, yeah, what's your take on Porter Martone?
look, I can't crap on the guy too much because at the end of the day, I would love to see him in Philadelphia. I think he'd do really well
Yeah,
right
you
next to
said
this
that.
guy
Yeah.
right here. But and again, I'll continue to say that for a bit. And he's a really solid scorer. He's really put together, and what he does with his stick is special. But there are issues with skating. They have not improved. He has not really taken his game to the next level like the top three have. This has become a draft of about Schaefer, Misa, and Higgins, and Martone was in that discussion for a very long time. And then again, he hasn't improved. He's kind of looked like the same self that he's been, and people have kind of realized he's on a loaded team. This Brampton team has a ton of scoring options, Rakoff, Misa, and he is kind of benefiting from it. I would love to see what he could have done on his own, but more and more, every single game he plays, he looks like he is kind of a piece to a line instead of a line driver. That's kind of how I viewed him.
Yeah.
I just don't think that Porter Martone is or can be considered at the top of the draft anymore. And I kind of see him closer now to my number 5 through even my number 8. I think that those, I would say Martone to my number 8, Malcolm Spence, those 5 are closer together than Porter Martone is close to Schaefer. So that's just kind of how I view it right now.
Here's the next one. The next players down. So you got Martone at 4. So you got Eklund at 5, McQueen 6, Desnoyers 7, and Spence 8. And let me show you mine because we are off a little bit on this one. I got one of my favorites, Caleb Desnoyers at 5, Frondel 6, McQueen 7, and Eklund 8. Okay, so McQueen is a tough one because he's only played 8 games, 11 points, came out on fire, had four goals in his first game or whatever. Having some back issues, kind of similar to Caden Lindstrom last year. So does that drop him a little bit? Like Caden Lindstrom went 4th overall, and he still hasn't played. And so, if Roger McQueen, when you're young and you start up with these back issues, it's kind of like a little bit of a red flag. So I don't know, but you got Victor Eklund at 5. Explain to me. And I like Victor Eklund. I just don't see his upside like some of the other players.
I see Victor Eklund as someone who has another ceiling to crack. He's got a ton of potential, and right now, based on how they're utilizing him at Your Gardens in the SHL or in the Allsvenskan, sorry, he's not really able to realize that full potential yet. I really think the world of him. He has a skill game, and before this season, he was all skill, and he was all just skill and scoring and stuff like that. And he, much in the model of his brother, looked like he was going to become a dangler or a playmaker. But since going to the Allsvenskan, he has transformed into a completely new player almost perfectly. Like, he is just a grit and sandpaper guy at 5'11", 161 pounds. That just doesn't happen, Mark. That's kind of insane. But when you have that heart of a lion, when you have that just that edge to your game, along with what people know that you can do with a stick, when he gets stronger, when he gets a little bit bigger, when he's playing with some other guys, was he playing with? We see what he's doing with Anton Frondel right now.
Yeah,
he is going to be a monster at the NHL level, and I really look. And again, this is my opinion. From what I've seen, I really do think the world of Victor Eklund. Again, every time I watch him, I really can't deny him. I mean, it's like he's out there the whole time, pushing every opponent to the limit. I think some NHL GM is going to love that, and he's going to go maybe top 5, but I have him top 5 right now.
Yeah, see, and so my only, again, and it's personal preference and stuff like that, but I see him as a middle 6 kind of guy. So you're thinking of like Marco Kasper, Brandstad Nygaard, those kind of guys. Like that offense, I don't know if the offense is there. That's my only thing. And so he's an 06. Again, we're looking at dates, right? We're looking at dates, and that's why I got Anton Frondel ahead of him, because I think that Anton Frondel is an 07, and he's also 6'1". So, and I think that there is some potential upside to Anton Frondel. Again, you got the top 3, and I think that after that you're looking more at, second line, third line kind of players after that, basically, right? So the top 3, they have the potential to be top pairing, top line forwards. Otherwise, after that, though, I think it drops. And I think that you're looking at more, 2C, 2 or 3C, like middle six kind guys. And so in terms of like, say, Frondell 6'1", Eklund 5'11", and Frondell's a '07, Eklund's an '06. Don't get me wrong, though, he's got that motor.
early.
What's that?
I think he's a couple days. He's like an entire year older than Schaefer. So he's one of the oldest guys in this class.
Yeah, So, like I said, you know what? It's one of those things where these lists obviously are going to change as the year goes on and whatnot. But so let's see who you got. So you got Victor Ekman, McQueen. We talked about Caleb Desnoyers. So he's my number 5, and you got him at number 7. So that's a close one. And so I'll talk about Caleb because he's another player. And since the Holinka CHL USA prospect game he was on the top line. And he's a dependable forward. Now, is he going to be a 1C? Probably not. He's more of a, 2C kind of guy, or even the wing, depending on where they put him. But he can play any kind of position, right? And in that OHL USA prospect game, they moved Misa to the wing to put him at center. So that kind of goes to show, the dependability that Caleb Desnoyers brings to a team, right? You can put him anywhere. You can put him on the PP. You can put him on the PK. He plays a great 200-foot game. He's got some offensive upside. He's been on a tear lately in the queue. And that's why I like everything about his game. He's 6'2". So, yeah. What's your take on Caleb?
I love him. He's fantastic. I love it when people are putting him high because honestly, like, it is, and I will say, like, the margin is really close between Eklund. By the way, one more thing about Eklund, I'll get this in quickly. If you're worried about the offense, he scored 6 points at the World Juniors this past January. So, just saying. But Caleb Desnoyers, he is fantastic. I really wanted to move him up ahead of McQueen and Eklund, but he was somebody that, like, it wasn't because of his play. It was kind of because I don't want to take that risk on McQueen. What if he comes back and becomes and starts dominating because again, we know that he's capable of that. And same with Eklund. I think he's playing a much more pro and much more NHL ready style game right now. But Caleb Desnoyers, wow. I went back because I wanted to look at all my, like, prospects of the week. I do a weekly show where I do a scouting report on a player, and I did Caleb Desnoyers in December, and he even then I'm like, I've seen this already. I made this video, and I'm still blown away. He's a really incredible player. You're kind of surprised with how good of an offensive player he is. He kind of will blow you away with that, but again, very dependable. He's someone that I can see being a 2C for years and years and years and years, and being like a piece to a cup team. Like, he's a really dependable player. He can be everywhere for you. And again, I really think he is a guy that, like, people are going to look at and be like, this is a winner. This is someone who wins and is just, he's a really good team player. So I love Caleb Desnoyers, and he will probably be moving up more likely than not, like, in the future.
Well,
so.
You know what? Like you said, it changes all the time, right? This year is one of those ones where it could change daily. Like, we've had that discussion before where, like, I'm like, maybe that guy should move up. And then you see a game, you're like, oh, yeah, he's going to move up. Or, that one, he's going to move down. So we're going to go through that. But anyways, you got Malcolm Spence at number 8, and I have Victor Eklund at number 8. So we already talked about that. So talk to me about Malcolm Spence and why you have him inside the top 10.
So Malcolm Spence, again, is just a player that I truly love. And it's something, like, I'm not going to hide it. He's truly one of my favorite players because I just love watching him. He's absolutely incredible. In my opinion, when he is on, there's almost no one that can stop him. I think he really could be a top 4 player if the effort was not an issue, because when he's on, he's on. And I think we've all seen at international stages, this guy is just absolutely incredible. I think it was the U18s or the U17. Every international tournament I've seen with this guy, he is
U18s. He had a really good U18. Yeah,
he can take over games. He can take over tournaments. He has the physical strength and the talent to dominate you. And I think there's a team that can bring it out of him. And from what I see, like, with Matthew Schaefer gone, he was playing really strong, and then he's kind of tapered off a little bit, but I still want to have him high. I still really like what he's capable of. He is just a tremendous creator. And there will be games that I'll be just watching him like, how the hell did he do that? He's so good. But again, effort is an issue. His compete is not always there. And he needs to kind of turn it up sometimes. And that's really been one thing that has been kind of keeping him back for me, because I think 8 is a bit further out than where he should be. But I kind of get it, because again, I think he only has 50 points in 40 games, and that's not like blowing people's
And he's
minds
an
away.
06.
Like he is an 06
He's
too.
an 06.
So
Yeah. So, all right, let me see here. So I got Jackson Smith at 9, and you got Radamurka. So, well, let's talk about. You know what? I got Radamurka at number 11. So, what do you like about Murka? So you at 9, I got him at 11. What's your take
no,
on?
I just did a new prospect of the week for him, and I gotta say Murka is he's fantastic. He's really great, and he's somebody that everyone was really intrigued about when he was in the Czech league, but ever since coming over to the WHL, he's unlocked an offensive part of his game, which I think people need to take more notice of. And again, say what you will, it's a loaded team in Seattle, but he has been playing top line minutes on Seattle. He plays nearly, I think, he averages 28 minutes a night in Seattle. He's unreal. He plays in the top power play, he plays in the top penalty kill, and he's on the top line. He's 6'6", right-handed shot. I think the possibilities are endless. It's just the skating that I think people are really kind of worried about. He's a little bit stiff, but he moves pretty well. And I have yet to really see him get burned at the WHL level, which is a very speedy league. This guy's reach is insane, and I think the defensive possibilities are just they smack me in the face every time I watch. So
Yeah, you know what? I think the thing is, like you said, he's 6'6". He's a decent skater. Defensively, he's pretty strong. My only issue is that I don't know if his points right now. He's got 21 points in 23 games as a defenseman. I don't know if they're reflective of his true potential offensive upside. I think that's a little bit of a false screen, I guess you could say, because I've watched him on the power play and stuff like that. He doesn't do anything special. He puts pucks on net. I mean, and a lot of his goals are secondary assists or pucks on net, and players get deflections or whatever the case may be. He's not really wowing us, I guess you could say. He's not that, he's not that rushed kind of D player. But when you're 6'6", you're right-handed D, and you're pretty athletic, you're gonna turn some heads. I just don't see that offensive upside that I think that he's showing right now. So it's going to be interesting to see about Murka. But I like I said, I got him at 11, so we're close in that regards. All right, what do we got here? So you got Jake O'Brien at 10, and guess what? I got Jake O'Brien at 10 as well there, Link. So so here's a player that I've seen live. So I'm assuming you're just watching
you've
the tape,
infected me
but
with the mind virus. Yeah.
yeah, but you know what? He was the MVP, one of the MVPs at the OHL McDavid prospects game. Played really well there, and he's another one that's young. He's an 07. He's kind of skinny. I think he clocks in at 170 pounds. He's 6'2". If he's 170 pounds, to be honest with you, once he gets stronger and he's not as easily pushed off the puck, I think that you're going to see another level of Jake O'Brien. And he's an assistant captain in Brantford, so that shows, that he's a responsible young player, and he's got a good 200-foot game. He's got some offensive upside. I've seen some glimpses of it, I guess you could say. But yeah, you know what? I like him. Actually, he's going to be playing here on Saturday in a few days, so I'm going to see him live again. So I'll keep you updated. But yeah, you know what? Jake O'Brien, he's been climbing the rankings in a lot of actually public rankings lately. So yeah, what's your take on Jake O'Brien? He's another kid that I'm a pretty big fan of.
You were somebody that kind of sold me on him, and I was watching a lot of it, and I'm just like I was not really taking notice. Truly, again, he was someone at the beginning of the year that I would lose when I was watching him. I'm like, oh, where'd he go? Like he's someone that he's just like you kind of like you'll lose attention watching him, but he's been getting progressively better. His passing game is really tight. He's a very high IQ player, and when he plays off puck, it's hard to recognize that, but it's there. He really is a really good off puck player. And again, he's got to get a better shot. He's got to be a little bit better of a skater, but the potential's there to do all of it. And he, like you said, he's a skinny kid. He's gonna grow. He's gonna develop. He may get taller. Look at Beckett Seneca, But yeah, I really do like Jake O'Brien. He was someone that I loved a lot last year when I was watching like Brantford tape to watch Merrick Van Acker. But um, again, I like him a lot this year now, a little bit even better, and he's just been playing kind of out of his mind recently.
Well, we'll talk about it when I see him live, and I'll give you game notes on him. But yeah, you know what, Jake O'Brien, like I said, I've been a fan of his. I had him at number 14 last ranking, so moved up a few spots. But let's check out.
I think the biggest discrepancy that we have is Jackson Smith. I have him 15, you have him 9, and there's also
Yeah, and the
Frondell.
Frondell, because I got Frondell at 6. So yeah, so now you got Frondell at 11. So that's a big deviation for me. I got him at 6, and like you said, Jackson Smith you have at 15. I have him at 9. So a couple of things we've already talked about Frondell. So you got Justin Carbonneau at 12. I got him at 16. So why do you have Mr. Carbonneau that high there, Link? Talk to me. Sell me on
Again,
Justin Carbonneau.
Of course, gladly. Again, I really, he was someone that I was quick to fall in love with because of the shot, and I'm like, I loved it, and it was great. And then everyone was like, oh, he's just a shot. I'm like, okay, I understand. So I keep watching his game, but there's a guy there. There's a complete hockey player there. He's pretty big. He plays a lot bigger than he actually is. I think he's actually like he's 6 foot. I'm gonna look this up because it's gonna bother me if it's not. He's 6'1", 192, but he plays, I would say, about 2 inches and 20 pounds heavier. Because this guy can wreck you if you're not being careful. He's also got a kind of sneaky good skill game, and he's a lot better of a passer than people are expecting. I think we underrate how good scoring threats can be and how useful they can be at the next level. If you can score, that is coveted. And that's something that people are going to like, they're going to break the bank on. And if you can score and do all of that as well, and like play a two-way game, have a good skill set, he can transition the puck. He can be a line driver in the right scenarios. He's going to succeed. And again, he's playing not great right now. Again, he's been kind of tapering off. He's had better months. But from what I've seen, from the body of work that is laid out in front of me, I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he's absolutely top 12. He's been cracking the top 10 for me at points. Now, not so much, but I really do love his game. He has a lot that he brings to the table. Not just the shot. Because I know you're going to talk about like again. He is he this? He's
yeah,
no,
guy, no. So listen, I don't get me wrong. Like, he's in my top 16. However, I think that a couple of things, he's inconsistent. There's games where he's just blah. But then there's games where you're like, you see that skill set and you're like, whoa, and he's got some hands and he's got a shot. The off puck play sometimes is suspect as well. So there's little things that need to be refined. But I mean, and the other thing is he's an 06. I always take that in consideration. I know, I beat that horse dead a lot, but yeah, no, like, don't get me wrong. I like Justin Carbonneau. He's in my top 16. I don't see him fitting in the top 10 yet. But lots of season left, and again, progression, right? He's progressed, so that's always a bonus. Let's just see where it goes for the rest of the season. No, so I like I said, we're all gonna have our favorites and stuff like that. Just like I got Caleb Desnoyers really high too, and some people have him a little bit lower, and Anton Frondell's another one that I have pretty high. That's lots of public rankings have him kind of lower too. But let's see what you got here. So, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, Mr. Gastrin at number 13.
So
13, Link? 13, Link?
Yes.
That's it. Listen, you got to be a car salesman right now. Sell me on Mr. Gastrin here. So,
you're calling me crazy, but I'm telling you
no,
right
I'm not
now,
calling you crazy. I'm saying that's kind of high. Listen, I like his game, but
it's
13.
Like, I know. It's higher than a lot of other people, but I'm willing to go to bat for Milton Gastrin because
okay, well, that's what we want to hear. Let's hear it.
I really do like what he brings to the table. This guy has some really nice defense. He's a really nice defensive game. He is very physical, but what will sneak up on you and surprise you is that he has been the driver of that Moto Junior team in Sweden over there. And I love what he does in the SHL. He's just been such a complete and tight player. Again, every time I look at him, people will say like, "Oh, Milton Gastrin, like like, oh, he's just cracking the first round. People are just kind of waking up to him now. But every time I watch him, I'm like, this guy really can play, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And people are going to be like, who is this guy? But you gotta watch him play. He is a really special player. His defense, I think, is going to be really coveted. He's going to be a very special two-way player. Selkie potential, perhaps, maybe. So I look at a player like Michael Brunswick from last year, and I see a lot of similarities between him and Gostrin. A very NHL ready style of play, pretty good defense, really good defensively, and sneaky good offense. But I think Milton Gostrin is more of a playmaker, and he's a really good distributor, as opposed to, again, Brunswick from last year being an otherworldly shooter. But
Yes.
I really think the potential is there for Gostrin. I think a lot of people are going to start waking up to his game and what he can bring to the table. I see this guy and I'm just like, how is nobody else seeing this? Like, he's really brilliant in my opinion. But yeah, I guess you are unconvinced. So what do you think of him?
Well, so listen, and again, I consider him middle, lower six type player. So, like, am I going to put him that high? And that's just what I see. I mean, hey, listen,
Yeah.
because let me show you.
No, I'm sorry, I'm making a face. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Let me show you though. I got Carter Bear at 12. So, okay, so I got Carter Bear at 12. And the thing, like, so if you were to take, like, say, Gastrin and Bear is like just a menace on the ice. He is just nonstop motor, and he's got some offensive upside. Now, Gastrin is an 07, so we got to give him is that next year, how's he going to pan out next year? That's my question, right? And the thing is that, yeah, like, does he have that offensive upside? And I know that you say, like, he's responsible defensively, 200-foot game's really good, and yeah, I agree with that. I'm just not convinced yet that, especially for 13, I think you. Well, I mean, hey, listen. You get people. We have our the ones, our gems, the ones that we love, and it seems like Gastrin is your gem. And good on you. Good on you for
I'll go back. I'll go
going to battle with him. I love it.
I don't think he's going to get a lot higher than this, because I think I think the ceiling is definitely a question. That's something what people are going to be asking again, like, what's his ceiling, like, scoring wise, what can he do? And I think there are players like ahead of him that can definitely score, and he's kind of hit a wall at 13. But I really do think you're getting an all around player, and people will be like, oh, like he's going to be a really sneaky good player. Look, I again, we'll see what will happen. It's only February.
Yeah,
right?
we got lots of time. We got lots of time.
So he could fall off the face of the earth. Who knows? But let's keep going.
Okay, so let's go through yours. So we'll continue on with your top 16. So we got Gastrin at 13, Fiddler 14, Smith 15. We talked about Linden Lakovic at 16. And then if we go to mine, I got Hensler 13, Lakovic 14, Spence 15. That's a big difference between us two. And then Justin Carbonneau at 16. So Fiddler at 14. What do you like about Blake Fiddler?
I think I grouped Fiddler and Smith together for a reason. I think they're very similar in terms of their trajectory. I just like Blake Fiddler a little bit more, just because I think you could probably squeeze a little bit more offense out of him rather than Jackson Smith. Both of them are tremendously raw, athletic defensemen out of the WHL, and they're fantastic. They're really good. Jackson Smith is a little bit of better of a skater. I think Blake Fiddler is a bit better of a defender. I think right now they both have about similar potential, I think, offensively. I think, but Blake Fiddler, for me, has really kind of turned it up. He's getting better, and he's showing off like his monstrous potential that I think he has. So, again, we talk about it all the time. He's 6'4", right shot defenseman, and he can skate, and he's got that offensive potential. And he's just someone that I've kind of just been watching in Edmonton. He's being relied on for big minutes. He's being relied on as a big defenseman to do a lot of things that, again, big defensemen don't usually do. And I think this is a huge potential pick. I think this is somebody that we are going to be looking down the line and be like, okay, this guy had a lot of potential. Where does he end up now? That's kind of what I'm looking at with him. That's what puts him just a bit overhead of Jackson Smith. I know you love Jackson Smith, and he is a really good player and someone that I've praised in the past. But I think Blake Fiddler just edges him out just this little bit much.
Or
So,
maybe
but
it's because
I do
he's
like
a
Blake Fiddler.
U.S. defender and Jackson Smith is a Canadian defender. Come on, a little, you're being a little
Oh
partial there.
well,
A
hey,
little,
well, hey.
yeah, yeah,
In
yeah. No, no.
fairness, in
Listen. I like
fairness,
Blake Fiddler too, and he got an invite to the U20 team as a draft eligible player, which is pretty impressive. Didn't make the team, obviously, but just to get the invite shows that they thought pretty good of him. And I mean, you know, you don't get that invite unless you got some abilities, and so that goes to
and
show that. And like you said, how he's
to
being
add
relied
too.
on in Edmonton is a big thing.
One thing quick to add to that is usually the USA hockey team does not typically invite United States CHL players,
That's
especially in their
true.
draft year.
And that
So
is
I mean,
true.
like
Yes,
we know,
they typically
yeah,
snub those guys. You're right. You're right. So that's just another. It just goes to show that he's got that potential for sure. So I love it. So let me go through my top 16 here. Like I said, I got Hensler. I just released on the weekend. I released my top 20 rankings on my site. Go check that out. But there is a clip of Logan Hensler that is just unreal. Lyndon Lakovic, the big power forward out of the Dub, Malcolm Spence, and Carbonneau. But you know what? Let me show you this clip of Logan Hensler. So in this clip here, you're going to see the offensive potential, little deke right here, and then boom, just buries it. Watch the close up on this. So this is what potentially Logan Hensler could bring to the table. Like I say, he's a great skater. He's getting better defensively, but he does have a little bit of offensive touch if we give him the chance, right? So I mean, and that's why and I know a lot of people say he doesn't have that offensive upside, but I see glimpses of it again, and he's been a player that I've watched last year in NTDP. I have, you know, when you watch players for 2 years or 3 years straight, and they, it's hard to move them down the rankings. Basically, is what it is.
I
But I have
I
them. I
I
still have
understand.
them
I
pretty
got you.
high. Yeah. So I got
I
him at
get it. You
13.
have yeah, you got a crush on him. It's okay. It's all good. We all got our hockey crushes. No,
Yeah.
but he's look last year too. Like we talked about this. Like the USN TDP, the defensive core last year was honestly really solid, and people don't really talk about it. They had Cole Hudson, they had EJ Emery, they had Logan Hensler, and they had Dakota Rayon Mullen. In
Yeah.
addition to who they have like now, I think Charlie Trethewey was there too, but he wasn't playing as good as the two ahead of them. But Hensler had incredible offensive upside. Like people were really raving about him. People were having him top 5. They had them as their first defenseman in this draft. Obviously, Matthew Schaefer overtook him, but
Yeah.
look, the potential's still there with Hensler. I still have him firmly in my top 20, and that's definitely not going to change. I still really do like Hensler, and I was like, I just saw that for the first time. That's really sick.
Yeah, that was a recent game. So you know what? I think he has the potential to do some rushes, join the rush, skate the puck out. But he's just a safe player. That's what he's safe. He's safe with the puck on his stick. He doesn't do anything fancy. The potential is there if he takes some chances every once in a while. But you know what? Hey, whatever. I got him at 13, and I'm sticking with it. But let's go on to our last 4 to make our top 20. So here. So you got Carter Barrett 17, Logan Hensler at 18, Bill Zonin at 19, love it, and Kashan Aitchison at 20. And then I'm going to show my Blake Fiddler at 17, Brady Martin at 18, Kashan Aitchison at 19, and Ivan Ryabkin. Ooh, yeah. I still, like I said, I saw him live last weekend, and he was the first star of the game. Offensively, knows where to go on the ice. Like hockey IQ is good. Like I told you though, defensively, really lazy, out of shape. And then you said there was some off ice stuff that kind of was questionable. So he might drop down. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't get to see the personality, those kind of things, the character kind of things. So I know you don't have Ivan Ryabkin in your top 20, but I think there's like last year's D-1 season was up there with Demidov and Mishkov and all those guys. Like he absolutely was on fire in MHL last year. This year
I
in Russia just tanked. He was
yeah.
terrible this year in Russia. So came over to Muskegon there and a little bit better, but he hasn't really been blowing off the doors in Muskegon either. So what's going on with Ivan Ryabkin? He's going to probably drop. I'm not going to lie in the next ranking, but
Look,
What's
I'm
your pick?
not bashful. I had him high. I had him really high. I had him
A lot
number
of people
three
had him
going into
top
this
10 at the
year.
beginning of the season.
I People had him top three. People had him going
Yeah.
second overall.
Oh, I don't know about that.
In this year, which well, I look, I don't blame him because he looked really good in Russia last year. People were talking about we got Mishkov, we got Demidov, and then this year we got another one, Ivan
Yeah.
Ryabkin, and then oh boy, it
Tires
wasn't a
fell
good
off, as they say.
situation.
The tires fell off on
Yeah.
Reactor.
He started kind of strong, immediately. In his first game, he looked kind of strong with Dynamo Moscow, and then the wheels kind of fell off. No one really knew what was going on. He wasn't really he notably was like going a long stretch without a goal, and we were like, oh, what's going on here? Like this is kind of crazy. And people were like, oh, maybe he'll snap out of it. Turns out it was a organizational thing, and they were kind of beefing. And we're like, okay. In October, the bomb drop that he's going to Muskegon, and then he's doesn't actually go for 2 months. And now he's in Muskegon. Now there are off ice issues, and again, like you said, he's doesn't look like he's in shape. He isn't playing defense. It's kind of scary, like how fast a prospect can go from this to this. It's really kind of crazy. And then the things that you were looking at upsides for him, he's like what, like 5'11" or 6 foot and 200, and we're looking at, oh, he's a big guy. He's gonna move people out of the way. Oh, now he's a big guy. He's not moving a lot. So
No.
like he's got to pick it up and be a little bit better. But I won't be bashful. I've dropped him out of my top 32. He's firmly in my second round. I'll wait. I'll let the viewers see how far he's dropped in the second round.
Yeah, don't tell us.
You can go watch
Don't
my
tell us
video.
how bad
So,
you dropped him there. He fell off a cliff, poor Ryabkin. But yeah, you know what, though, like I said, when I saw him live last weekend, he's got that offensive ability and he's got a little edge to his game. Like he was taking like full on runs. Like when I'm talking like trying to take people's heads off, body checking, I was like, oh my God, if he could slim up a little bit, get and be more responsible defensively. I mean, obviously, like, you know, any prospect, you want him to have a good 200-foot game and be responsible in all three zones. But he is like noticeably just once the puck's off his stick and the other team has it, he's just like, whatever. I couldn't care less. As soon as his team gets once the offense takes place, then he's like motoring. So yeah, he's going to drop in my rankings too. I don't know if I'll put him in the second round, but he's going to be end of the first, probably the next ranking, to be honest with you. I still kind of, you know, hope that that offensive upside that we saw, his ceiling that we saw last year comes back. But I mean, at this point, it's probably might be gone.
But yeah, you also have Brady Martin in your top 20.
Yes.
I think we talked about this last time we were comparing other lists. You were saying I don't have Brady Martin quite that high because he's been firmly in the conversation of like 30 to 10. I've seen people put him really high. I think I got to pull this up now because he is in Central Scouting. He is currently number 17. So he is ahead of some other guys that he's ahead of Blake Fiddler, most notably, but he's ahead of Sasha Boumediene, Henry Brustevich, Benjamin Kindell, Braden Coots. He's ahead of these guys.
Yeah. So the thing with Brady Martin, when you see him play, he competes. He's responsible defensively. He knows where to be on the ice, and that's what in terms of hockey, he's a safe pick. And I mean, he's not going to have that offensive upside that you're going to see in some of like Braden Coots offensive upside. No. But he does play a responsible game. And that's why I got Brady Martin in my top 20.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit lower. So like
hey, listen, Brady Martin's one of those players where you can kind of go either way. I think,
he's a bit too safe. He's a bit too safe, a little bit,
too vanilla for you. Eh?
He'll disappear. He'll disappear at times. I have some, I would say, more exciting players ahead of him. But I think he's the way that he plays. Like he's not somebody that I'm terribly a fan of. Like I'm ready to take swings at like Carter Bear, Bill Zonin, Keishon Aitchison.
Let's talk about Bill Zonin. You got him at number 19. I like Bill Zonin a lot too. He's like right outside my top 20. So talk to me about Bill Zonin that plays out of the Q.
Yeah, Billy Z is I really do
Billy
like
Z,
Bill Zonin.
yes.
Billy Z, Billy Z. I'm like working on a nickname for him, but
In
he's
Canada, we say Billy Zed.
Billy Zed, Billy Z, whatever you want to call him. I think he's just a fantastic player. And he's someone that I think a team is definitely going to take a swing at, of course. But we have to discuss the skating is not great. It's something that's really been drawing me back. It's not like untenable because he's able to move pretty good. And again, a characteristic that I've mentioned a couple times before, but I'm going to keep mentioning it again. He's 6'2". He's 6'2", like 196 pounds. I'll look it up to be exact. Yeah, 6'2", 185. But like I said, he plays about 3 inches and 30 pounds heavier. This guy brings
He's
the
a truck out there.
He's an absolute moose. This guy. He is true to Roy and Miranda, or that's like northern Quebec. This guy is a moose. He's come straight out of the wilderness, and he will run through you. I really love what he can play, what he can do. He can score, but I think the thing that is lost on a lot of people when they watch his game, this guy is extremely intelligent. I think people don't realize that. He makes some really solid plays, and when he can't make those plays, you can kind of see that he's got some limitations in skating. His stick handling's got to be a little bit better, but he reads the play really well. And I'll see him make some of these plays where his stick handling's not there yet. I'm like, oh my God, if he could just do that, like he would be on the highlight reel every night. And he works really, really hard too. Like, I've been a big Billy Z guy from day one. So he's one of the guys that I think
he's just outside of my top 20. So you know what? I agree. I like Billy Z too. And hey, we'll give him. I like the Billy Z nickname. That's a great name. That's a great name.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
he's someone that I like. I can't wait to do the prospect of the week report on. Yeah, like I can't wait. So he's someone that I'm gonna really just being like, hey, he needs to be a top 20 guy, or I'm gonna be like on Twitter just being like, what is going on at every single GM? Like,
you're just gonna be a bitter Link with if he doesn't go top 20.
Yeah, there was a couple of those in this last draft that I was like, I can't believe that these guys fell. And I think Billy Zonen's a guy that I'm gonna kind of like defend. I love it. So
I love it. All right, Link. I think that's it for our top 20. And if our viewers want to check out Link's top 20, or so your videos, you did it as a top 64, you said?
I did as a top 64. Wow. Basically what I did is I was really in depth with my top 32, my first round, and then progressively I'm just getting less and less like, hey, like this is I have this guy here, I have this tier of player. They basically are like this, and I'll just like quickly go through like every single player. But I do go through 64 and some change. Like I do have some honorable mentions. So yeah, like go check it out.
New Wave Hockey.
I went through a lot to go do this, but I have a lot of time. I'm watching a lot of hockey. I'm watching a lot of players in person, so it's been fun. It's been great. So, but yeah, definitely go check it out. Yeah, I appreciate it. So
yeah, and that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. And next week we're gonna probably do another player profile, right? We're gonna pick another player, probably Porter Martone. The next on the list. We're just gonna kind of follow it down our rankings, and then yeah, that's it for Link. Have fun in Denmark, buddy. I want to see some new jerseys maybe in the next couple of weeks for sure.
We'll see. I don't know if I'll be getting out to any more. I don't know if my wallet can take another journey for another week. So we'll see what will happen. But I will be updating you guys with whatever goes on here, because it's been fun. It's been great, and I'll see you guys next week. It'll be great.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon, everyone. So cheers.